Hi, it's Megan. So if you've been watching a bunch of my videos, you know that I have a new favorite eyeshadow brand, Viseart, whatever. So when I was at IMATS, MuseBeauty.pro had the two new palettes that are going to get released, I think in March, but that was a little unclear. And I think they're probably going to have it first, but I did get both. And I've done a video for the other one, which was the cool mattes, and now this one is Editorial Brights. And so I was told that this is called a pigment palette. This is what it looks like because it is so pigmented, and it is crazy pigmented. There's obviously a reason why these are my new favorite eyeshadows, right? It's not just random and out of the blue. And so first I'm going to talk just generally, then this palette, and then I'll get to swatches and a description of each of the colors. So I've done the Paris Nudes, I've done the Nude Mattes, and now I'm doing this one. And I actually have two others, which I haven't even taken out of the box yet because I've been so busy wearing the first three. But there's a consistency in the palettes across the board. The shadows are hand pressed, which I know they can sometimes be hard to find, and they do sell out. But they do come back in stock, and I actually recently looked online and I've actually found sources for a whole bunch of the ones that aren't available at other sites. So they are out there, but they're hand pressed, and there's kind of the mattes, and then there's kind of the shimmers side. So Paris Nudes had a little bit more of the shimmer. The other two that I've tried have been totally matte. But the mattes are a little bit more chalky than the ones I had that were shimmery, but they're super pigmented and they apply really beautifully. So even though it kind of, when I do swatches, I see a little bit of chalkiness to it, that's not how it looks when you actually use a brush and put it on the lid, which there's some things about this palette, these palettes, that I've had to relearn a little bit about putting eyeshadow on. So first of all, super pigmented. They do colors that are very wearable. So I felt like the Paris Nudes was the least balanced of the palettes that I tried, and then I felt like the matte, cool mattes was much more balanced in that it had more of the lighter and then more of the darker. And then this one right here is, I don't want to say it's not balanced. I did a look on my eyes. I actually wore this yesterday, and I don't know, I tried to put it a little darker than I would normally wear just so you could see the pigmentation of the shadows, but I don't know, I don't wear super bright looks a lot. I do sometimes, and I actually wore the same look yesterday and I really liked it. But what I wanted to do was do a look where you could just see kind of the beautiful pigmentation and the consistency and like the true application of the color on the lid, because that's one of the things that I just most love about these shadows. When I'm talking about learning new ways of putting on shadows, it's like you put the shadow where you want it to go and it's there. There's none of that powderiness, or it doesn't apply very pigmented and you have to apply it again, you have to build it up. It kind of applies sloppily. These just go where they're supposed to go, which is kind of rare actually. It's not unheard of. There are other shadows that do that. It's just these are so consistent across the brand. I'm amazed. And so this is it. So this is not what I would call, I don't know, I guess it's balanced in that, wow, it's a lot of bright shadows, right? There's a theme to it and it's consistent across that theme. But this is not something that I would pull out every day to use alone. Although it does have the white. And the white can be used where I have it right now, is I have it right in here, and I think I put a little bit in the corner, just a tiny bit, but this is a white matte, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I really love mixing this in with the other shadows that I have, and so this one actually works particularly well with the cool mattes because more of these colors lean cool than warm. And I did one look where I did this green, one of these, I think I did the darker blue, I don't remember, and I did a gray from the cool mattes, and it was just really stunning. Just bringing in a little bit of grays and blacks to change this totally. And actually normally when I wear a lot of bright color, I will bring in a little bit of black either in my upper waterline or lining my lashes, or you know, something like that, just to make it less bright. And then with the reds, and there's one cool red, one warm red, and then there's an orange and a yellow. These lean a little bit warmer, although I think the yellow is a little bit cooler than some yellows. But these you can mix with browns, and then also some of the browns would go beautifully with the greens or the blues. Could even mix it with the pink. So it's just a question of, you know, what you really want to mix it with. If you're cooler tone, mix blacks and grays in with this. If you want a warmer tone look, most of these colors will work with the browns. The other thing that I learned is this thing about mixing colors and sandwiching them, which you take like a taupe or a gray or any color that you want to add a little bit of an undertone to. You dot your brush in that, and then you dot your brush in a bright color, and then you dot your brush back in the more neutral color, and you're adding just a little bit of sophistication and a different undertone to whatever that shadow was, which can be a lot more flattering. I've learned the hard way that browns can sometimes make me look a little drab and dumpy, and if I mix just a little bit of brightness from some, or undertone from some of these other colors, I just look better. So these are super finely milled. These are all very vivid. They're true colors. So a lot of them, when I was trying to describe the colors, I'm like, well, it's, you know, it's a marigold bright yellow. Not that different from exactly how they look in the pan. So they really do apply the way that they look. What else did I say? They're very long wear. They have even application, richly pigmented, very finely milled, hand pressed, like I said, which does actually, with these, seem to have an impact. And there's a consistency and a deep, rich pigmentation in all cases. They can sometimes, like I said, swatch a little bit powdery, but in application and in blendability, they're amazing. So I didn't want to blend too much of the shadow away. It's a little brighter than I would normally wear, but I've mixed this a lot with other palettes and just come up with the most amazing looks. I love the shadow palette. So first, the white, and this one is interesting because it really is a true white with, it's not going to show up so much here, with a slight pink undertone. It's almost not discernible, but I think what it does add to the palette is that it's not quite as harsh as a pure white. So the next one is a green, and this is kind of like a chartreuse. It's a yellow green. I thought this one had a little bit more green than a lot of the light colors that I have. I like this type of color. What I've done here, just so that you know, I'm not gonna like go through in detail. I did the white up here, I did the yellow, then I did the light green, the darker green, the lightest blue in the outer corner. I took this blue and lined underneath, although there's a little bit of yellow in this corner, and then I took this darker blue and dotted it on as a liner on the upper lash. And what's interesting about these is if I use just a very fine eyeliner brush, I don't need to wet the shadows first. You can wet the shadows first and it doesn't wreck the shadows, but I don't need to wet the shadows first to line my eyes. They're that pigmented. And it's not just this particular palette, the pigment palette, it's basically across the board, which again, learning new ways to do eyeshadows. A lot of times when I want to line my eyes with an eyeshadow, I dip my brush in water, and I don't have to do that. The next one, this is a medium dark green. The greens here really remind me of leaves. And I do see a little touch, barely, of yellow in it. Barely. That's what's interesting too about these. Like, there's a little tiny shift in the color, which is really, truly amazing. Then this aqua, and this reminds me one of my favorite Sugar Pill shadows. Really, really, really pretty color. I've been using this a lot, and it's just gorgeous. What did I say? Medium, like medium aqua, medium darkness, that's what I mean. The pink, the pink, orange, yellow, and the first blue. The pink I did in another video, which I mixed with like a taupe, and I did it in various shades. When I did the first time it was much more taupe, and then the next time I did it, it was much more pink. But this is a great undertone, especially for people with cooler kind of undertones to their own skin. Mixing this into gray or brown or whatever is going to add a little bit more kind of depth to the look, and a lot of times adding that little bit of pink really softens it. So I called this, what did I call it? Like a carnation pink? What did I call it? I called it a hot pink. It's almost a Barbie color. Then the orange is just a true orange. Like I said, these are not the most exciting descriptions. It's a medium, true orange. Not too harsh though. if you look at that, it's just not a particularly harsh color. I like doing, actually when I was in college, I loved orange eyeshadow, and I would put it in the outer corner right in here of my eye, and it just like made the blue pop, made my eye open, really pretty. Yellow, I call this a bright marigold yellow. Again, another good undertone kind of color, but I use a lot of yellow in the inner part of my eye. That also makes my eye pop. This, honestly, I do mute a little bit. It's bright yellow, personally. Other people won't. The first of the blues, I'm going to do the blues together, and I'm going to do the reds together. So this is the first of the blues. This I called a bright sky blue, and it's like a medium dark. You can see that. And then the other blue almost has like a navy undertone. It's a darker blue. That didn't swatch very well because my wrist was still wet. So you can see the undertone difference. This one almost has like a navy added to it. And this is a little bit lighter. Then the reds. I still am going to do a smoky eye with red video because I like adding a lot of red to browns and blacks because it just warms up the look. So there are two. There's that first one and the second one. The first one is a warmer red. It has a little bit of an orange, just a touch. That's what's so great about these shadows. Just a touch of an undertone to them. So you can see a little bit more of a poppy and then a little bit more of like a pink undertone to it. So you've got the warm and the cool red. And then the last one is a really vivid purple, which I see a little bit of a pink undertone, making it a cooler tone purple. But it's not super cool toned. So you can see how consistent and rich and pigmented these are. So overall, do I have anything bad to say? Yes, they're really hard to get and they're not released yet. They're, I think, like I said, March. And I get, with a few colors, tiny bit of staining. I wear it on my arm to see if it stains at all. Tiny but barely. And then the other thing is all these colors are approved for use on the eye, which has been a problem with some of the super red-based type colors, in particular the oranges, the purples, in the past year or so. So I think this is just an amazing palette. They go for about $80, $75 depending on depending on where you find them. And that is all I have to say about this palette. If someone wants me to do a tutorial on it, let me know and I will fit that in. Please subscribe on YouTube because that really helps me. Thanks.